All right, welcome on in, everyone. I see everyone joining on in. So, welcome to Tithely University. We are happy that you all have made it here today. We're going to spend some time today talking about our new giving form, which you probably saw a little bit of a sneak preview on for Tithely Next. To tell you a little bit about who we are as we kick it off with talking about our giving form, I want to tell you a little bit about our customer experience team. You're fine, yeah. So our motto on the customer experience team is to be by your side and for your growth. So everything we do day in and day out is to be standing beside you and walk alongside you as you work to serve your church through the use of Tithely software. And so we work to be customer centric with you at the middle of everything we do, innovative in our approach, trying to find new ways to doing and solving old problems, transparent in everything we do, the good and the bad, making sure that you can see our heart in everything that we're doing. Solution motivated, so your success is our success as we're partnered in accomplishing that success together. So I want to tell you a little bit about who our customer experience team is. If you talk with pretty much anyone here at Tithely, you'll see that these are the values that we really work to emulate. And so we hope that continues to come through. You can go to the next slide. Today on our call, we have John, who is our finance product manager. John is an absolute genius here at Tithely. All the good things you see at Tithely, um, they come from John. I will stand beside that. John is great, and so John's gonna walk you through everything within our giving form today, and he'll really go into the details of it, answer your questions. My name's Mark. I manage our success team here at Tithely. Go on to the next one. Awesome. So these are product suites. Some of you on this call may be like, hey, I have giving and that's it. And I didn't know you had anything else. Whenever I go and communicate with any group of customers, be that in person, online, the constant thing I hear back is, oh, I didn't know you had that product. And we actually offer a wide variety of products here at Tithely. So always like to throw these up on the screen just so that you can see all the different things that we do offer here. And so maybe you're using one, two, all of these, whatever that is. We just want to kind of let you know that we have a wide variety of products that you're able to meet a lot of the needs that you may have at your church. And so take a moment, look at these. Maybe they're one that piques your interest. If so, shoot us an email, and we would be more than happy to get you connected and talk a little bit more about one of these products. All right, little preview. I am going to talk about this at the very end as well, just to kind of give you a second reminder. But we have next month is what we have deemed Generosity Month here at Tithely. So we do so much stuff with generosity throughout the year, but we have a hyper focus on it in the month of November. Weekly in the month of November, we're going to have a series of webinars running with our director level and executive team here at Tithely. So the first one we have is recurring giving, how consistent giving impacts your church, plus how to increase it. And our COO, Frank Berry, is actually going to be joining us for this, and he's going to be walking us through how to increase recurring giving at your church and the impact that it brings. Scan that QR code, join us for that webinar. And additionally, we are going to be giving away some absolutely huge prizes. I think there's like AirPods, I think maybe a MacBook. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff. So register there, scan that QR code, join us. We're going to be doing all kinds of giveaways all throughout the month. And so that's how you register to win a lot of these. So join us there. And yeah, without further ado, it is time to hand it over to the man himself, John Holtkamp, to bring us through all things giving form. So one piece of housekeeping before I officially hand it over to John. At the bottom part of your screen, you're going to see a chat bubble. We love to see your chat and communicate with you there. But with the number of people in the room today, sometimes it's really difficult for us to keep up with people talking in the chat. So if you would, go ahead and click on that Q&A button for us. At the bottom of your screen, you should see where it says Q&A. If you have any questions at all throughout the webinar today, please drop them in that Q&A area. I will be monitoring that, and then we'll be having some questions for John at the very end. So if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A, not the chat, so we can keep up with them. So now that that's over with, John, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Awesome. I have been looking forward to this. Last Thursday, if you were able to join us for the deep dive, we did a deep dive, included giving form as well as some things from Breeze. But in that, we actually linked to this. Maybe some of you have actually come through that. But this is our chance to dive to truly dive deep into the giving form. The way I'm going to present this is I will go through some slides and I'll talk through some key points, but then I'm actually going to go into the admin dashboard that you use as someone on staff at church and walk through the process of viewing the giving form, editing the giving form, and then go into the giving form as a donor would experience it, and just give you some ideas of what we have going on there, and some of the massive changes we've made that should really help your donors be able to easily get into that form if they want to log in and use it. Before I even dive into the giving form, I just want to reference what an exciting season it is too. Just with what just happened with Tithely Next, going into the giving form, what you've seen throughout this year, maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. We've made some really big changes, and some of them are just infrastructure changes. They're just allowing us to do the things you're seeing us do with the giving form. But more than ever, we're at a point where the feedback you give us has now influenced where we are with the giving form, and we're able to move much faster to make changes moving forward. So whether you're someone who maybe is just excited to be here at Tithely and hasn't really given feedback before, or you're someone that maybe is has lost motivation to give that feedback because maybe you haven't seen the movement as fast as you want, this is a great time to come back in, or to come in for the first time, give feedback, and help us to shape the giving form into the very best possible thing for churches. Because we're at a point, and I'll talk about this too as I'm presenting things, but we're at a point where we really can iterate quickly and help churches quickly to have the things you need to have with this form. All right, with that being said, let us dive in. Once again, I warned you, I got slides here. If you hate slides, though, you got a demo coming. If you hate a demo, at least I got slides at the front just to talk you through some of these key points. So I have about 5 slides if you're someone that hates slides. So just bear with me as I talk through some things where you have static screens that I can just talk through. First and foremost, an important part that I'm going to touch on first as I demo as well is the giving form editor. And that's what you see here. Before even talking about this editor, a big important part of all of this for you as a church, and something that maybe you've thought about, maybe you haven't, but it's something I guarantee you will think about, is how does this new giving form work alongside my old giving form? What about the settings that I have set up? Do you have custom settings there? For instance, are you using things like memo fields, member IDs, things like that? And if you do, are they available in the new form? And if they are available in the new forms, you have to come back into the new form and now reset it up once again. And I have great news on all fronts for you, hopefully. And that's that before launching the giving form to all churches, like we did just 2 weeks ago, we wanted to make sure that all of the settings that you use inside of our existing giving form would be available inside of the new giving form. And that's something I'll show you here as I demo today. But everything is available there. But not only that, as you go into the new giving form, if you haven't already, what you will find there is that all of the settings will match what you have inside of your existing giving form. So everything there is there ready to use. So you can just start using it as soon as you want to. But I also mentioned you can use it as soon as you want to, because your existing giving form will just continue working as it is. So if you decide to go start tinkering around with the new giving form, if you want to maybe use it on Facebook or somewhere else just to start using it and getting it out there and building your confidence with it, you can do that without any concern over your existing giving form having any sort of changes because of that. Like, what I mean by that, it's not, you're not losing your existing giving form if you're just not quite ready to switch. So don't let concerns over the existing giving form scare you out of using the new giving form. Go in there, dive in today or as soon as you're ready, and start using it. Make a donation through it, do whatever you want, and it will work as you expect it to, and hopefully you are thrilled by what you find there because of the design we have there. So as you go in, also the new giving form is where you will edit all of your giving forms. So if you come into the new giving form and start making edits, that will edit the settings in your existing giving form. So you can go use the new giving form, no fear about your existing giving form being changed. But if you start editing settings and toggling things and saving, that's when you'll start seeing changes in your existing giving form. It won't break anything, but you will see changes. You will see things change, because this is the place to change your giving form now, whether it's the existing one or the new one. But either way, our goal here was that you are ready to hit the ground running. As soon as you dive into that giving form section, everything is ready to use and right there in front of you. Next up, from this giving form editor, very exciting thing, which you'll see here as I show it to you, you'll see the live preview on the right here. The giving form is divided into 2 sections. The right-hand side is the live preview of the giving form. The left-hand side has different settings and things you can do, which we'll dive through. But something great about this is that as you're updating your giving form, you're able to see how those edits will change your live giving form. And you can do this without actually changing. And this is a huge difference for anybody that's used our existing giving form, because before, yes, you had toggles and settings you could change, but you weren't actually aware of how those changed your giving form that was live for the members of your church until you actually saved them and went and viewed your live giving form. So you had to change it for all donors before you could see what it looked like. And now in the new giving form, you're actually able to see everything, whether it's styling, settings, fields you're showing or hiding, all of that, or even changing the language. You can even see what it looks like as you do that. You can see all of that without actually making changes to your giving form. By the time you click that save button and make the changes, you know exactly how it's going to look, which is night and day difference between what it has been like to what it's like now. And then last of all, on this slide, we've set up the ability to create custom links for special versions of the giving form. If you were here at the deep dive last Thursday, I touched on this, but wasn't really able to dive deep into it because I didn't actually demo anything. This is something I so look forward to demoing for you today. And for those of you that have one of these different features, and this is part of what I was referencing in the past, of all of the different things that have been requested over the years, this really opens the door for us to be able to add all sorts of neat things. So we've even already been able to do some really neat things that churches have asked for forever, and we're able to just drop it into the new giving form because of how these custom links allow us to do interesting things with the giving form that are completely risk-free for you because they don't actually change your existing giving form. I realize what I just said there was pretty confusing, but don't worry, I will be demoing it for you as well if you didn't follow what I just said. So first of all, that's the giving form editor. This is hugely important for you because this is where you will go and view and customize that giving form as you're trying to set it up for your church, and also as you're just going in and previewing how we've set it up now based on the settings that you have in your existing giving form. Next up now, getting into the donor experience. A huge thing that we've added that we are so excited about, and we also mentioned this on Tithely Next last week on last Tuesday, is localization. For those of you that don't know, localization means that we support different languages. So as someone comes in wanting to read it in a different language, it's already translated for them. Right now at launch, the giving form is already set up to support Spanish and French. There was actually a comment I saw come through Tithely Next, and yes, we are reading those comments as they come through Tithely Next, celebrating that no, the form isn't even just bilingual. It actually is supporting 3 languages right now, which is English, French, and Spanish. And as you can see at the bottom note here in this slide, it's actually built to quickly be able to expand from there. Honestly, as soon as any church comes in and requests, hey, I wish you would support this language, if you have the ability to help us create that translation, we are ready to start working with you and can quickly get it supported. And if you look, you won't, but if you were able to dive into our QA environment and view what languages are available there, you'd see, like, I want to say 7 languages as we're building those things out. I'm not saying next week you're getting 7 languages, but I'm just saying that's how easy it is for us to start dropping languages in. But what we want to do is really be able to get those in there, vet them, make sure everything looks great, and then push them live and have them available. The middle thing here in this slide, the middle point, automatically displays based on browser. This is more of a point we just need to make sure all churches are aware of, because as we went into really rolling this out to more churches, because we had a somewhat fast, slow rollout going from early access to getting it in the hands of a bunch of churches over a period of weeks to having it available to everyone. One of the big questions that came through was, hey, you said the form would support Spanish, but as I drop in and look at the form, Spanish isn't coming up. Honestly, this is a nice intense question that dropped on Mark on a Sunday morning, I believe. So that was just one of many occasions of this coming up and crossing my desk as well. The reason for that is the form will show in the language that the person's browser is set to. So if you're set to English and you view the form, it's going to show in English. But if someone comes in with their browser set to Spanish, it's going to show in Spanish. The goal here is not to have the form set to your church's language. The goal here is to have the form set to the donor's language. So if you, sure, maybe 99% of donations come through from Spanish-speaking donors, and great, the form will be formatted for them. But for that English-speaking donor or that French-speaking donor, it will automatically be formatted to them based on the browser language that donor has set up. And as the new Giving app launches early next year, the same will be the case there, where we'll detect the language of the donor and automatically set the app to be their language. So this is just moving forward. The idea here focused on the donor, not on the church language. So I think it's great to have that clear. Note, if the donor's language is not supported, right? So if someone comes in Chinese, it will default to English right now. And that's the current behavior. Just for your information, go to French, we'll go to Spanish. And if neither of those, or it'll go to English if English is what the language is in the browser, otherwise it will default to English at this point. So that is how localization works. One other thing I don't mention here, which I'm kind of surprised, is something I love about the way we have the form set up is it's not just the donor flow, right? Or the donation flow. So sure, it's very critical that if someone comes in to make that donation, all the fields are translated. But no matter where you drop in the form, everything is going to be translated. So someone drops into the login screen right here, everything is translated. If someone drops into their profile somehow, everything is translated. So because we don't, even though sure, this is the main flow that we expect people to come into as they drop into the form, they could drop in different paths. And no matter how they get in there, it should automatically be displaying in the correct language as long as that language is supported by the form. All right, next up. Sign in, sign up. This is what I'm super passionate about. Some of you are just gonna be like, I wish you would stop talking. Some of you, hopefully you will understand why this one is such an important topic. Well, when we talk about the giving form, obviously that giving flow, the localization, your ability to customize what fields are there, all of those things are super important. To me, it's also super important that if a donor wants to be able to log into that form, they can log into that form. And to any donor that's expecting to be able to track things at tax season, they're probably wanting to make sure that they're able to log in and make that donation before they make that donation. So it was very important to us that as we prepared to launch this form, that we had a very frictionless flow. And you can see my first point here is frictionless, even if the wrong choice is made. That sounds kind of weird. What does the wrong choice mean as a donor drops into the giving form? And what this is talking about is that as a donor drops into the giving form, they may choose to sign up even if they already have an account. And a scenario where this sort of thing could happen is if let's say a donor goes to a different church, they move for job reasons, and now they're going to your church. That donor could have been going to a church that already used Tithely. That means they already have a Tithely account. As they now come into your church and you have Tithely as well, they're probably not going to connect the dots that this is Tithely. They should log in with their existing account. They're going to go in and try to sign up, right? So the flows are designed so that if donors do that, and I'm going to put in quotes here, make the wrong choice, for instance, signing up even though they have an account, the flow is going to work that out and be able to help them in without making them feel like, oops, hey, start over, we already detected an account or anything like that. It's just going to walk them through the login flow as we detect that, oh, there's an account already for this person. Obviously, in a secure way. We're not just going to let them into the account when they shouldn't be able to get in, but it's going to be like, hey, we already have an account. Let's log you in through a safe path since we've detected an account here in a way where it's not even necessarily clear to them that's what we're doing. On the other side, there's also a chance someone doesn't have an account and they choose to sign in. In the same way, we'll walk them through a path that doesn't feel like they made the wrong choice, even though they did. I'm going to do an even though they did in quotes, and make sure that we walk them through getting logged in. And there's way more complex things that can happen than that. For instance, if you're trying to log in with your wife's phone number and your phone number is already on file under an email address, you get to a last step and we're like, whoa, we see you using 2 phone numbers on the same account. Even as you get into complex paths like that, just walking you through the flow and making sure, hey, we caught there's 2 phone numbers on this account. Which phone number do you want to use? So there you have it. I think this is huge, making this as frictionless as possible so that the donor feels comfortable logging in as they're trying to make that donation. I've mentioned phone numbers. You can now log in by phone, with email, and you could say, well, you could always log in with email. With email, it was always an email password combo. Now it's just with email or by social means like Google, Apple, and methods like that, making it really easy to log in. And I'd mentioned how exciting it is with our infrastructure and some of the things you heard talked about it next to this last Tuesday. And some of the pieces you heard just referenced there were like Breeze connecting into church apps and accounts, being able to cross between those. But this passwordless flow, this is where you're starting to see the pieces fall into place, which is helping our systems get connected. None of you are here to hear about our systems getting connected. You're here to hear about the giving form. I got to drop this anywhere I can drop this. The systems are getting connected, and this is a big piece of it that is where you're seeing us be able to connect those systems so well, where we're keeping things, actually, I would argue, far more secure than they are with the password, just because it's easy. Maybe you're very careful with your passwords. I promise you someone in your church is not. So this is pulling that insecure method of password sharing or anything wrong with passwords, moving into a more secure path, but it also allows our system to become more connected. And trust me, in the next year, you're going to see so much coming from that. Give me 1 second to get a drink. I'm so sorry. All right. Next up is, well, actually, I spoiler alert, I guess I already talked about this, allowing accounts to span products. So my last point here is going into the passwordless part as well, and how you're going to see in the future, within the next year, everything getting more connected. But all of that sign in, sign up, well, it feels like such a minimal part, perhaps, as you're using it. It is so huge, and it's going to make a huge difference for people being able to log in when they want to log in, but in the future for how products get connected. Next up, payment methods. This one probably should feel pretty big. We're talking about making donations. It's obviously important that as someone drops into your giving form, they're able to either set up a credit card, they're able to use something like Apple Pay or Google Pay, or they're able to use their bank account or whatever it is they're trying to set up to be able to make that payment through. So we've created completely new flows for setting up those credit card donations, or those, or I'm sorry, for setting up your credit card payment methods or those bank account payment methods. And these new flows are more secure, more modern, and I'm just delighted to see them in there. If you haven't already seen them, you'll understand what I'm talking about as you're actually able to use these flows. But because of how these flows are set up, it's also opening the door for huge advantages in the way payment methods work inside of Tithely. Because not only is the flow different and more secure, also it's allowed us to add support for Canadian pre-authorized debit. You don't see it in these pictures here, but if you go to give to a Canadian church, which is what most Canadians will be doing, they will see for any of those churches now, they have the ability to set up a Canadian pre-authorized debit payment method. And I excitedly go and view statistics on how many donors have now done this on a regular basis, because it's so exciting to be able to launch this, because it was such a highly requested thing from churches and donors. And now here it is available to use, because the new flow of setting up payment methods makes it so easy for us to do this. And don't worry, if you're wanting a different payment method in a different region, Canadian pre-authorized debit is not where we're stopping. This is only the beginning, and it's become so much easier now for us to be able to do this. Also, on payment methods, because of how we're now handling payment methods and updating everything about how they're handled, we're also able to drastically reduce the settlement times for US ACH donations, which are donations made through bank. So if you've been involved with Tithely in the past, you know the settlement time was 5 to 10 days. So it would feel, and probably because it wouldn't just feel, it would take about 2 weeks for an ACH donation to settle and show up in your bank account. Now it will take the same amount of time that it takes credit cards, so 2 to 3 business days. So that donation made on Sunday should be showing up in your bank account around Thursday of the same week now. Now, an important point to make on this is that this is for one-time donations at this point. So your recurring donations that are set up through the new giving form will still settle and show up in your bank account 5 to 10 days later. But by the end of this year, we're going to be either to the point or getting very close to the point where all donations will be settling that fast. And that doesn't just mean ones that are set up anew. It means all recurring donations that you have that are set up through ACH, they will all just transition to being settling this fast. So don't worry thinking, oh man, I got to get this as soon as possible for it, so any new donation will settle this fast. No, all recurring donations will migrate over to settling this fast. We're just in the process of slowly migrating these over to make sure everything's migrating correctly and to monitor them to make sure that they're settling as fast as we know they should be. So don't worry, it will, by early next year, really we're anticipating Q1 next year, all recurring donations will also be settling this fast. But right now, today, if you make an ACH donation, you will see it settle that fast as long as you use the new giving form. Last of all, just a few of the bells and whistles from the new giving form I want to mention. If you've been watching any previous Next, if we've talked about early access or anything like that, you've already heard about these things. But these are huge. So even though you may have heard about them, there's plenty that haven't. It's important to bring them up that now you have access to the profile. And this is while you could make an argument that in our existing giving form and giving app, you had access to the profile, but this is so much more of what you can edit, adding an image, the ease of being able to update like login information and things like that. Also, possibly to some, the biggest win is the ability to update recurring donations. That's the screen I have right here. And so this allows any donor to be able to go in and edit a recurring donation, not only with the basic recurring donation settings that you'd expect of the cadence of, hey, I want to do weekly on Wednesdays instead of weekly on Mondays. I want to change the fund I'm giving to, or I want to increase the amount I'm giving, but also being able to use things like skip dates, saying, hey, you know what, for at this time, I'm not able to continue giving this recurring donation. Maybe someone lost a job and they say, you know, in 3 months, I want to start giving again. So you could say for 3 months, I don't want to give my recurring donation, but I want it to automatically start again in 3 months. Also, you can now set an end date for your recurring donation, which that can be done from the edit screen as well. And if someone goes in to cancel a recurring donation, the flow will actually prompt them to go in and edit the recurring donation instead. It will allow them to cancel it, but it will recommend that they go in here if there's any reason that they might want to just skip it versus canceling it altogether. Also, better multi-campus support. I know to many of you on here, there may be no relevance here, but something I love about the new giving form is how easily you can switch between campuses and how the form is designed for allowing you to do that. And that's something I'll be able to demo for you today. So I believe that's it. So as I say demo, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, hopefully not make you sick as I do so. And here I am inside of the giving section of your Tithely dashboard. Right now I'm in bank deposits. And you can see right here is giving form. If I go down here to this question mark right here, I can go into onboarding. And if I scroll down, I think I'm right saying this, maybe I'm wrong. Yes, you can see set up your giving form. As we launched the new giving form, you had a pop-up come up, which may have looked very similar to this pop-up because it was this pop-up. And you may have been like, man, I got to get in and do the thing I'm trying to do. And you just said, I'll do this on my own, which that's probably what I would have done. I would have pushed this or this if I was you, because I probably dropped in to do whatever it was I was trying to do. I just want you to know, I'm going to talk through a lot of snazzy stuff, but you may want to go back and have something that walks you through some of the snazzy stuff. If you click this question mark right here, you click onboarding, and you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see set up your new giving form, and you'll be able to go back through that flow once again. Just say set up my giving form. It'll direct you into giving, into the giving form section, and it'll walk you through some of this. Obviously not to the extent I'm going to walk you through it, but I just want you to know that's there for you to use this. And Savannah from the Tithely team has just done a remarkable job setting all this up so that it's ready for you. But you have me here, so I'm going to walk you through it in real time. To go into the giving form and start using it, all you got to do is click giving form, and this should be available to every single church that works with Tithely, whether you've been with us for 10 years or whether you signed up yesterday. You will see giving form here ready to use, and as you click that, you have right here the link that you can use to use the giving form. Remember, I said you can use the giving form, you can preview it, you can donate through it. It will not mess up your existing giving form. So you are completely safe to click giving form, click this button right here. And actually, I'm going to switch over to Mosaic Cincinnati here. And you can see that was me switching campuses. I mentioned how well everything is set up for switching campuses. I'm going to switch over to this one and drop that link right here. And you're going to see the giving form load right up. Well, it wants me to put my PIN in for security reasons, but you can see that giving form load right up. So you, right now, if you haven't done it yet, it's that easy. Click giving form. It'll take you to this link and embed tab. Click the giving form URL copy button, or you can just copy it directly, paste it into a new tab, or paste it in the tab you're on if you want. And you'll be taken right to the giving form where you can drop right in and make a donation. And I'm going to say it one more time. I'll probably say it like 20 more times. I'm going to pretend I'm going to say it one more time. You can do this, zero risk. Like, this will not impact your existing giving form. Nothing I just did will impact the existing giving form. If you have a website, whether it's a Tithely site, a WordPress site, a Wix site, whatever, and you want to test out that give button, if you use our give button embed, that code is right here, and you can drop that right in. And you can use this alongside your existing button. That'll look kind of funky. I advise you don't do that. But if you have like a test page somewhere on whatever website, you can drop it in there and put the two buttons side by side and try them out to see what the old form looks like versus the new form. New form looks so slick. But that's how you would use that if you want to use that. We talked about the custom links, which I'm super excited about. I'm actually not going to use this quite yet, but don't worry. I will get into using it. And then if you want instructions on how to use the embed code on your website, whether that's a Tithely site, Squarespace, Wix, or WordPress, go ahead and you can jump into any of these guides and to walk you through how to use this embed code on those specific sites. So this is how you can start using it. I think it's important that I tell you that because, hey, I told you I wouldn't say it. I'm already saying it again. There's no risk in you going and trying this. Just copy that link, go in, whether you want to make the donation, you just want to fill it out to see what it looks like to fill out, whether you want to switch to Spanish and see what Spanish looks like on your giving form, all of that is safe to do. It will not impact your existing giving form. Now, going into some of these settings where things, in my opinion, get real exciting is I can click over here to the Styles tab, and this is where I can start changing the look of my giving form. I will warn you, you start changing the look of your giving form and press Save Changes, some of the changes you make can impact your existing giving form. Really, the only one that will is this primary color here, because the primary color is shared between your existing giving form and the new giving form. Outside of that, everything else is safe to change. So in the case of this campus, you can see we have square buttons set up. And this could be because maybe this campus's website has a square look to it. Whereas if you see, as I jump over to Columbus, and we load up the giving form, it actually has rounded buttons. So between different campuses, you can have different styles of buttons. And you could see radically different color schemes. That's because all of the colors there for the other campus were set to be different than the colors here. Both of the campuses actually shared the same font. But here, I can use Montserrat, which happens to be the font we actually used for our presentation today. And you can see it will look, honestly, quite different to switch it from Montserrat back to Inter, which Inter is actually the font that will be automatically chosen as you use your giving form for the first time. This is not a setting we could adopt from your existing form because the existing form didn't allow you to set a custom font. So you have the choice between 14 different fonts that you can use to try to match as closely as possible to your website's look and font, because the goal here is that you're able to embed this form on your website and it feels like it is part of your website. Because something I love about the way Tithely handles things on the web is that we don't pull you out to some sort of Tithely domain. We actually allow you to use it inside of your website so that the person donating is never taken outside of your content. As I mentioned, we had the different button styles, and you could see campus to campus, we actually switched between these two button styles, but you can get pretty different here as I switched from Montserrat with rounded buttons from where we were before. And then as I switch colors, you can imagine I could actually get this thing real ugly. You'd be impressed how ugly I can get this if you give me the time to do so. So be careful, don't make it too ugly, but you have the ability to make it as beautiful or as ugly as you want it to. The power is in your hands. If I were to click Save Changes, you would see those changes not only reflected inside of my active giving form right here, you'd actually see some of those changes, in this case, just the primary color, actually also reflected inside of the existing giving form for Mosaic Cincinnati. So keep that in mind. Edits made here and saved actually do reflect both giving forms, because this is where you go to now edit both giving forms. This is the place to make those edits. Now, the big thing we launched, and if you were part of early access, none of this was there. You had access to styles, and you actually had access to link and embed. You didn't have access to settings. And this was the big thing I mentioned we really needed to have ready so that we had parity between the legacy form, and I said legacy there, but the existing giving form and the new giving form. So now you have the ability to toggle all of the settings on and off that you have inside of your existing giving form, but you can see how they look. So I added this field up here to show the campus name. I can add address fields, and you can see how they drop into the form. I can add in a memo line, and you can see how that adds to the form. So you can actually see in real time, and something I mentioned on Thursday when we did the deep dive was when you watch the video of the giving form at Tithely U, you saw some really slick animations of the interface changing as new fields came in. That's actually what it looks like. Like this team, which was not me, I'm just a product manager, the team that built this did such an incredible job making it so it's a very dynamic live preview that just looks beautiful as you're coming into editing. And once again, zero risk as you're making those changes. However, if I were to say, add an address field and a memo field and click Save Changes inside of my existing giving form, those changes would be there as well. It's not going to break anything, but just be aware as you make those changes and save, you can see what they look like here. As soon as you click save, though, it's saving both in your new giving form as well as your existing giving form. All right, so let's go ahead and preview this giving form. Right now, we're keeping it in the state that it was in before, but I'm going to go ahead and go over here. And you know what, just to make sure you don't think there's any smoke and mirrors going on here, I'm going to copy my link here. I'm going to paste it here like I told you to do, which you actually saw me already do, but I'm going to do it once again. And we're going to dive into the giving form as you see it here. So this is what a donor will experience. You shared that, well, actually, I lied. Let's make it so it is what the donor would experience. I'm going to sign out. Once again, do that flow. So this is a new donor clicking that give button on your website, clicking that link inside of a Facebook post, however you share this, you texting it to them, whatever, this is what it's going to look like to them. So nothing has been changed. So this is the settings. If you were a new sign up today with Tithely, this is how things would be set up for you. This is how your giving form is going to look. And this is how a new donor is going to see it. You're going to see your the fund that you have at the top of your list selected. They can drop in here, make a $2 donation. They can fill out their first name, last name, email, phone number. They can set up a payment method. And now and honestly, I need to actually put in my name to set up a payment method. So here we go, doing that. And do you think that's my number? It is not my number. So don't text that poor person because I just typed something random there. So here you can see the ability to add a card. I can use Google Pay. And all I need to say is add new payment method. And I actually have Google Pay set up on this browser. So it'll just walk me through the process of doing that. Or use a US bank account. And from here, you can see I have banks listed and I can actually type out a bank. So if I have Fifth Third, I can type out the word fifth and it will pre-fill. It'll start showing all the banks that match that, which Fifth Third would come up as the first bank. But so easy for someone now to click that and walk through a far more secure flow of setting up a bank account to be able to donate through. And like I mentioned, regardless of the flow they go through to set up this bank account, as they get to the end of that flow, that donation is going to settle in 2 to 3 business days for a one-time donation. I have covered the fees down here, so you're familiar with this flow. I just want to show how great it looks and just let you know this is what that flow is going to feel like. But now let's go through the sign up flow. So I'm going to say I want to sign up. I'm going to use my phone number to verify. And I acted like I wasn't going to share my phone number. And here I am sharing my phone number. So I'm putting my phone number in here. So I signed up. I actually have an account as long as I type my phone number in right. There it is. So you're never supposed to share these codes. And I'm sharing it with 123 people. Hey, look at that. I have an account that already exists. No big surprise. I literally told you that's the case, but this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly that scenario. John Holtkamp moved from California to Cincinnati, Ohio, for work. He didn't know it, but he moved from a Tithely church to a Tithely church, which happens to be your church as the final Tithely church. He goes to set up an account, and here he is. It's telling him, hey, you already have an account. So I can say, go ahead and log in. I've already verified through the phone that it's me. So now I can just be dropped right into that account, ready to donate. And you can actually see, looky there, my details carried through. I remember I was going to make that $2 donation. So we'll go ahead and select tithe, make a one-time donation using that card, cover the fees. And it's that easy. So as John Holtkamp, who accidentally made that mistake, it was still that easy. And that's what I'm saying. It needs to be that easy where maybe I made a mistake, but I come in here as I made that mistake and everything's filled in ready to go for me because my payment method existed when I was giving to my previous church. So now that's how it is easy to make a donation. You got to see what the giving form looked like when I wasn't logged in. You get to see what it looks like as I'm logged in. Let's go ahead and make some edits to this giving form. So something that we did during early access was what a product person, as I am in my position, should be doing, is not only putting products into people's hands to be using early on, but be talking to those people as they're using it. And something we found out as we talked to churches was as people switched between campuses at a multi-campus church, they were having a hard time deciphering on what campus they were looking at. For instance, here I am in Mosaic, Cincinnati. I can go over here and switch to Mosaic Columbus, and I can choose to give now. And there's no way actually looking at the form, maybe if the colors changed or something, I'd be able to tell that I switched. But there's no way to tell right now that I actually switched what I'm looking at. So here, what I want to do is actually toggle this on to say show church location name. And you can see it's subtle now, but it makes it so it's obvious that I can tell what church location name I'm looking at. What I love about this is just how trivial it was for our engineering team to add something like this in. So this is where I'm saying, as you see things with the new giving form, I know there's no way you're looking at our new giving form and not saying, wow, that is so much better. There is a chance, I'm positive out of 124 people here, there's going to be a few of you that's like, man, but I wish this. Please pass along your I wish this is to us, because that's what this was. That's what create custom link is. And so make sure you're getting those to us because like I said, it's so trivial now for us to be able to do things like this. Also, there's going to be churches I know that either already have, they want to collect address, or maybe you're new to Tithely and you want to start doing, or maybe you already were collecting address and this field is already turned on and you want to turn it off now. This is where you can go to do something like that. Also, memo field is obviously a critical field to so many churches where you can be able to add that in here. And member ID is an interesting one because not only is member ID used, but sometimes churches repurpose member ID. You can see I just put a really crummy field name here of custom ID exclamation mark, but that's to emphasize you can put whatever you want here for your member ID. So member ID to some churches is critical. That is the ID that unique member is recognized by. Some churches have no need for member ID, but maybe you have something else you want to know from your donors, and this gives you the ability to be able to collect that information or allow them to be able to add that information. Also, some of the other customizable things that we had of redirect links. Like if someone gives a one-time gift, what happens to them after if someone who's not logged in gives a one-time gift, what happens to them after they do that? They can't go look at their account. Like I'm logged in here, so I can go in here and look at my giving history, and I can view the gift that I just gave where I covered the fees and gave $1.30, right? But what about that donor who wasn't logged in? They can't go look at their giving history. So you can choose, do I want them to just land on a page that says thank you, or do I actually want to redirect them to a completely different page altogether, like your website? You can do that. This was available inside of our existing giving form, but here it is in what I would say a more intuitive place where you can edit that. And also one other thing where you can say on recurring donations, I want to include a refund link. This gives you the ability to be able to enable that setting as well, which was actually possible inside of our existing giving form. So now as I save changes here, keep in mind, man, have I said this a lot, that did just edit my existing giving form, but it also updated the new giving form. So you can see here with confidence, I came in and knew this would all show because boy, does this stuff work well now with the memo field, as well as the address, as well as this location field here now being visible on my giving form. So you can come in here and change colors, button size or button shapes, fonts, fields, whatever you want, you can preview them, but then as you save, they're also immediately there, ready to view in your form and make a donation through. Just note, you're editing your existing form. The last thing I wanted to talk about, and by the way, also no risk here going in here, changing languages, seeing what it looks like as you swap languages. This does not, because it's donor. This is just me in my session as a donor. It does nothing to your existing giving form. And also previewing it, because you're not actually setting anything. You're just viewing what it looks like. The last thing I said I want to talk about was creating a custom link. This has me excited, not only because of what it is now, but because of the implications of where we're going. Your giving form is obviously an important thing to be careful with. As you make changes there, you want to be careful about the changes you're making, because every setting you toggle on, toggle off, color settings, fonts, all that stuff that the donor is going to see, it's going to make them think different things. It's going to make it easier or harder to donate. Sometimes it's worth the slight difficulty to donate of adding an address because your church needs that address. But you don't often, sometimes you want to make changes, but you don't want those to impact your actual giving form. And that's what creating a custom link is for. In our existing giving form, you may or may not have dabbled in this, but you could manually go in and add parameters to the URL. And by that, I mean the URL up here. And then you can make different things happen, like default amounts, default funds, things like that. What we've done is taken that idea and built upon it. So we actually built out a wizard that allows you to do that. So now, instead of having to go look up a KBA and manually try to type something incorrectly with the possibility of your link being completely bogus by the time you're done with it, we actually built a wizard that will build the link out for you, so you can set a default amount of, say, $125. Whoops, $125. Or you can set a default fund to Summer VBS 2023. Let's say this is for Summer VBS 2023. And it costs $125 to actually sign up for that. You know what? I don't really want people to accidentally set up a recurring gift. This is a one-time payment. This Sunday or this week, our church is asking people that are doing VBS, or maybe we're just posting this on our website, or maybe we're posting it on Facebook. Hey, please sign up for VBS. Here's a link to pay. You don't want people to set up a recurring payment for that accidentally. It's supposed to be a one-time payment. So here I am setting things up for VBS. I'm going to create that custom link. And here is that custom link for me ready to use. And it's set to 125 Summer VBS, but you can see there's no recurring option. For reference, here's what the recurring options look like. Those recurring options aren't here. This is something you're starting to go deep down the hole of. We just had a small subset of churches that said, hey, something we've always wanted is we have a missionary visit, we have VBS, we have whatever. We don't want to have recurring visible. In the past, this would have been a lift that would have been surprisingly big to change our previous form, just because it was far harder to change that, just because it was a decade-old form. With this new form, we are now completely outside of that tech debt, and it is so easy for us to make changes like this. So now something like this, where we can now even hide the recurring option, and note, it doesn't impact your existing giving form. Recurring is still here, but now you can take this link, which was shared with you, and go post it wherever you want. You could post it on your website. You can keep it there forever. It will continue working, but it will not impact your existing giving form, giving you really the ability to do so much more. And we have so many more ideas from here. I was on a call yesterday about like iterating down the next few months of ideas of things we want to do in this area. So I would love to hear your dreams, the things you wished we could have done, because we have so much flexibility here. And honestly, I could keep talking, keep showing you language changes, keep showing you things about the new giving form. I'm going to stop. We have 10 minutes left. I'm actually shocked at how well timing worked out. I will stop sharing. I'm not supposed to do that. I'm actually going to jump back into the presentation. Mark, I'm now going to bring you back in because it is time for Q&A.
All righty. Man, John, thank you so much. That was absolutely incredible. Great stuff. So I know that there were a lot of questions asked, and there's more coming in as we speak. And so we're going to do our best to answer as many questions as we can. But if we get to a point where we are not able to answer your question, please send those questions to support@tithe.ly, and we'll be more than happy to answer those. So I went ahead and I saved a couple questions that I thought were really good, John. So I wanted to hand those over to you. So first, I want to talk about the old form versus the new form. So you talk a little bit about increased security of ACH donations, these financial connection, all of that world. So what was lacking in security in the old form? What are we gaining by using this new version of ACH?
That's a great question. And I could, man, thank you, whoever asked it, because like I can see how the implications were, oh, Tithely was dropping the ball. No, what you're seeing here is that there's no longer a path where someone can just drop in a bank account and routing number that they got from who knows where and donate as the person, because now there's things like micro deposits that have to be used. So if you want to go that route, you need to do things like micro deposits. So it wasn't actually as the transaction was being processed that there was something insecure happening. It's that honestly, in the last 10 years, the world has gone a long way to being more secure, as I don't think is a shock to anyone here. But now all of this new tooling is building that sort of thing, and where it's actually stripping out some of the stuff that was less secure. And we do still allow you to do that manual process. Honestly, if I'm doing a bank account, sometimes I prefer to do the account routing number method instead of linking my whole bank up to something. But in the same way, I would prefer to know that someone else can't just go do that as well. So it's
Yeah.
taking things like that. But please know, there's nothing that was insecure past just things that you're used to that were 10 years ago and things you've seen of account routing number and being able to just do that where anybody could enter it. That's now not possible. The person has to prove that they can actually view the deposits that came into that account through micro deposits, which I believe all of us here are probably familiar with.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so somewhat a similar question about ACH. And so we had this way I know will be easy for you to kind of like get into super technical. And so it's kind of like, I know we don't have time for that. So just high level, why can't we put the faster ACH on the old form? So why can't you just add in the faster ACH processing like onto the legacy form?
Man, great question. As you mentioned, I can go super technical and I could start calling out terms that would be correct. It wouldn't just be gibberish. I'm gonna like go a thin line between there. So I'm teetering here. There's different ways you can process. The new form is processing in a different way, and I wouldn't necessarily say one way is more secure than the other. One way is way newer than the other. And this new way allows for faster deposits. There's no way that using the way that our existing giving form processes that this can happen. So I will say, and actually maybe this might make you happy, might not make you happy. Even if you use the existing giving form in Q1 of next year, and don't tattoo that on yourself, but I really believe in Q1 next year, all recurring donations will be settling faster. even the donations that are processed through the existing giving form will actually process faster because we can migrate those over and they'll process. I'm sorry, not
Mhm,
process, they'll settle faster.
mhm.
But the actual donation that's a one-time donation made through the existing giving form, that's just processing in an older way. And there's no, like, it's just something we can't do. It's not, this is not meant to be some trick to get you to switch to a new form, or it's not even a laziness thing. It would be such a lift for us to try to update our existing giving form to submit to support something like that instead of just saying the new giving form does it. So that is a completely truthful thing. And honestly, hopefully the recurring what I just described there also just shows we're not trying to block you here. It's just like we're talking, I wouldn't be surprised if it was 6 months of work just for our existing giving form to do this when it's already available in the new one and it's very easy for us to support it there.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great. Thanks so much, Sean. Okay, so we have a couple questions from Juliana. The first one, I'm gonna go ahead and just quickly try and answer. And Juliana, if you have other questions about it, feel free and please let us know. But you ask, like, we're currently using Breeze Giving, but I really like some of these features in Tithely. So how do we, like, do we move over to Tithely? Like, what does that look like? And so it's a great question, and it's actually a question I think that a lot of people have. And so from where I'm sitting right now, if you're wanting to do that, within this next week, what I would suggest is just keeping your financial data, your past donations, all of that, just living in Breeze, and just you can change over, sign up for Tithely, or if you don't have a Tithely account yet, or if you do, go ahead and grab that Tithely link, edit it in the way John was talking about, and you're able to process with a connection between Breeze and Tithely financial information. So for all those donations, you can set up an integration between Breeze and Tithely, and then all of your data will be updated in Breeze. That is a little bit of a question that I think a lot of people may have, but if you have specific questions about that, about how to exactly do that, let us know, email us at support@tithe.ly, and we'll walk you through exactly how to do that because it's a little bit longer of a process. Okay, John, so someone asked, can multiple donors, so say a husband and a wife, can they be attached to one account? They have some couples asking to do that.
Um, Technically the system is designed so that each donor will have their own account. So I think a question that should come from this, and honestly, I'd love to hear use cases on this because this is something we absolutely should consider if it's something that's needed. We do support households, so at tax season, they will all be put together inside of the same tax statement.
Mhm.
At the same point, my wife Jessica and I, we would either all donate under the same account, and that would not be a combined account. It would just be the same account, or we'd actually both donate under different accounts and then set up a household where at tax season, it all gets combined into each other. I would love to hear thoughts on how we can improve this moving forward as we're iterating. And as I mentioned, in a very exciting season now where I feel the sky's the limit. Whereas if you'd ask this last year, I'd be like, enjoy what you got because we can't really do anything right now because we're still digging our way to where we are now.
Awesome. All right. We're running short on time, so I'm going to pull out one last question. I know there's some questions in here that we're not gonna have time to answer. So if we don't answer your question, again, please email us. We'll be happy to do that. Right. Just making sure I find a good one. Okay. Okay. I wanted to ask, so they said they have a donor who has a current recurring gift set up, but the donor wants to go in and cover the fees. With the ability to edit your recurring gift, can they actually go in and just click to cover the fee on,
Mhm.
or will they need to remove the gift?
Yep. And actually, this
Awesome.
is great question here. You can do that. Like that's available now. The one thing that's not available that one of the biggest requests we have is actually editing the payment method. And we like in all the recurring stuff we're talking about, which I think was part of the last question I answered, part of that will actually enable us to also allow you to edit that recurring donations payment method as well. So right now, cover the fees. Go in there. They can go in there now using the new giving form and edit the cover the fees as well. But payment methods is the only thing they can't do, and that will be coming early next year as well.
Okay, good deal. Alrighty, so there was a couple questions on there I saw about URL. So people saying like, hey, I want to simplify that URL. I want to shorten it. I want to put in my church name within it or something like that. So as of right now, we don't have like direct customization within Tithely to do that. You're welcome to use it, a way to shorten the URL. They have, Bitly and things like that out there. But as of right now, within Tithely, we do not have that. But that's a really great piece of feedback and something our team will take seriously. That I agree. It could be pretty cool to do like my church slash give 123, right?
Mhm.
But that's good. Okay. And then the other question I've seen a couple times is giving a donation, split donation between multiple funds. So giving one $50 donation and splitting it between multiple funds. As of right now, we don't have that ability, but that is something we have thought quite a bit about. It's a big piece of feedback a lot of people have given us. As of right now, you can give a donation to multiple funds, but they will process as separate transactions. And so just be aware of that. But okay, I know that we kind of ran through that. So let's go ahead and go on just a few more closing slides and we'll wrap up. Again, if you have other questions we did not get to today, email our support team. They'll be more than happy to respond to you, support@tithe.ly. We will be emailing you a recording of this call so that you can have that and you can review it. If you're like, whew, I got lost after 3 minutes in, go in and slow it down, listen to it, watch it, pause it, anything like that. And yeah, if you can go to the next one. Again, join us for Generosity Month. We're going to give away lots of stuff. Again, there's the link in the chat. I put it in there, or scan this QR code. And join our Facebook groups. These are a community of people just like you who ask similar questions. And so you might be able to answer some of those questions. You might be able to ask some questions there and get some answers. Join our Facebook group. And I think I have one more, maybe two more. Oof, okay. On-site training, if you're sitting there and you're like, man, I would love a team from Tithely to come to my church and teach me exactly what I need to know and sit in front of me in my office, we can do that. We offer on-site training. If you want to know more information about that, you can go to get.tithe.ly/on-site training, and we can get you a quote on exactly what that would look like. Yeah, more training. I put that out there. University at Tithe.ly. I put that out there in the chat, and that's all. So thank you guys so much. Thanks for taking time to just spend your afternoon with us learning a little bit more about the giving form. And again, thank you, John, for walking us through that. And we will see you all next time. Bye, everyone.